Immigration is not just back in the news, it's in the news every single day. Let's put it in some historical perspective. Joe Biden has a legacy, and it's going to be very hard to deal with. For the next 20 years, we're going to be dealing with the fact that he and Alejandro Mayorkas deliberately, intentionally destroyed immigration law as we know it. The Trump administration is doing a heroic job to close the border. That's not the problem now. They solved that existential problem. The problem is that you have 12 million people here that are completely unaudited. What do you do with 12 million people when you can only deport 800 or 1,000 a day? So they would have to step up their efforts by a magnitude just to get back to where Joe Biden started. Hello, this is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Immigration is not just back in the news, it's in the news every single day. Almost every single day we see someone here illegally, like Mr. Soleiman committing an act of terror when he tried to burn Jewish activists, burn Jews. We saw Mr. Abrego, who was an M13 member and became a cause celeb when he was deported. He was a spousal abuser. He was a gang member. He was a human trafficker. I don't even want to get into the sad, tragic tale of all of these young, beautiful, vibrant women who have been killed by illegal aliens. I don't want to get into the issue that here in Fresno County, about a half of the traffic accidents, the people involved that were culpable have left the scene of the accident. So it's a real problem, and let's put it in some historical perspective. Joe Biden's legacy he has a legacy, and it's going to be very hard to deal with. For the next 20 years, we're going to be dealing with the fact that he and Alejandro Mayorkas deliberately, intentionally destroyed immigration law as we know it. They opened the border, and they let in 12 million people. Keep in mind some data. The Trump administration, is doing a heroic job to close the border, but that's not the problem now. They solved that existential problem. The problem is that you have 12 million people here that are completely unaudited. And this is in addition to somewhere between 10 and 20 million that were here already prior to Biden. And on a good day, Tom Homan and ICE and the Border Patrol can maybe deport, they find 800, but Joe Biden let in 10 times that number per day. So they would have to step up their efforts by a magnitude just to get back to where Joe Biden started. If you let in 12 million people in the space of 4 years, you're talking about 3 million a year. You're talking 250,000 per month. So you can see it's 8,000 a day, and there's no way that seems even feasible, even when the left tries to obstruct that effort with sanctuary cities and district judges who entertain these lawsuits to stop it. The other thing to remember is what was really tragic about what Joe Biden did is he privileged illegal aliens over U.S. citizens. Now, what do I mean by that? His Defense Department, it started under other Trump-era defense secretaries, but they drummed out 8,500 of some of our best soldiers because they did not trust the experimental mRNA vaccine. Many of them had had COVID and had natural immunity. Think about that. At the same time they did that, they were letting about 7,000 to 10,000 people a day come through with no worry about whether they were vaccinated or not. So they were telling some of our bravest soldiers, we're going to go after you and drum you out of the military if you don't get this vaccine. But over here, we're going to let in 10,000 people, 8,000 people. We don't know who they are, but they don't have to have an accident. Take another example. We were supposed to all get something called the Real ID in 2020. It was delayed because of COVID, and it was enacted, I think, on May 7th of 2025. But here's the point. For the last 2 years, people have had to get ready to get that ID, or they can't fly. They have to have a passport or a birth certificate. They have to have proof of residency in their state, bills or a lease or something. It's a difficult process. You've got to go in person to the DMV. So what's my point? We were flying people in from southern Mexico, to take one example, into particular airports in the United States, mostly in the Southwest, but not exclusively. And we were doing it in the dead of night. And sometimes when you went to an airport, it would say immigrants, but they were not checking anybody's ID. In other words, a person in Chiapas or Yucatan or Oaxaca or Michoacan could say that they were a refugee, get on an app, hit the app, get on a plane and fly to an airport at 2 in the morning without passport control. Think of that. That happened while most Americans, as I speak, cannot get on a flight unless they have a real super ID that has been certified and adjudicated by forms of ID in addition to your driver's license. Again, we are treating people who are breaking the law by coming here and residing here better than we are U.S. citizens. And the wall is a wonderful thing that's continuing. Donald Trump's efforts to secure the border have been wildly successful. But the problem right now is an existential one. What do you do with 12 million people when you can only deport 800 or 1,000 a day, and you need to deport? If you want to solve the problem and get back to square one on January 20th of 2021, you've got to increase that by 10. Final query, why did Joe Biden do this? Or the people around him? What was the purpose? Was it to expand the DEI agenda? Was it to bring poor people that didn't speak English without skills or high school diplomas so they would grow the entitlement industry, have to raise taxes, redistribution? Was it nihilism? He just got angry at the Trump people and he thought, this is one thing they won't like, we're just going to open the borders? Was it to change the demography so with mail-in and early voting, these people could be instant constituents? Or was it just that he was mean? He was nihilist. He just said, I'm going to blank this up. Or was he incompetent? Good old Joe from Scranton. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that we're going to have to find it in the next 20 years because this is the most grievous thing of all the terrible things that happened under the Biden administration. This one will be his legacy, and we're going to have to live with it. Thank you very much. This is Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Signal. Please like, share, and subscribe to be notified for more content like this. You can also check out my own website at victorhanson.com and subscribe for exclusive features in addition.